Hi guys, it's Mark from France, from the RC Car 68, and today we're gonna speak a word about the black Panter from Ming Racing. And for sure, you have checked it out. This is the truggy version from the Ming Caracal, who is the buggy version. That's not this only difference. There is a main difference more. This one is made for entry level. Oh, I have a spider. Itsy bitsy spider. Come here before something happened to you. So, this is an entry level buggy which you can push to extreme competition. You have two versions. The lower version RTR. 6 is available with plastic shocks, 6061 stamped alloy shock towers and 6061 chassis, which you can upgrade at what you want. You also have the plastic pin holder on the arms and Phillips screws everywhere. I don't like that, but the major fact for a beginner or a low budget car, you need only one tool to disassemble or wall the car. That's not the baddest thing, I guess. What I like is that instead of many other brands, they have put all-round tire on the car. Works really well. I really like it. In 4S, even in 6S, no problem with these tires. We have a nice grip, but not too much in the grass. You can run on asphalt. It's really a cool all-rounder. This is the S version I get with 7075 T6 shock towers and chassis. I still have the plastic chassis brace because the car is light. I have here a weight RTR ready with the battery on board from 3 kg 700 without going too light on ESC and motor. I have a 4074 motor in there, 2000 kV or 2200 kV. I have a 6S ESC in there, or Hobbywing quick run. So if I use a Hobbywing G2 68 motor and a 4S Max 10 G2 ESC, I will be able, and with maybe replace some screws with titanium or alloy screws where I can use it. I'm pretty sure using a Lexan wing I can pull down the weight from this buggy RTR 4S with a super lightweight shorty battery about 3 kg 300 or 400. That's really super lightweight if you want to go super lightweight. And this is the main difference between these two, is that this one is not rated to go fully competition. This is entry level only. You have full downgraded also with the plastic arm holder, with the plastic shocks, but only 4S, not 6S. I guess this is because of the heavier weight tire to not stress too much the transmission, and because of the longer chassis only is available in 6061. Also the shock tower are also only available in 6061 stamped alloy. That's not what I like. I really gonna push them. Still we get the option because the car is heavier than the buggy because of the heavier tires. And most of the time it's just only the main difference between buggy and truggy. You have a little bit more weight for the longer chassis, the longer CVD, the longer A-arms and all that stuff, but it still only weight 4 kg 5 to 4 kg 700. That's still the weight from a competition truggy. That means if you use competition tires, because TOOS one weighs about 240 grams, standard competition truggy tires weight about 180 grams. So you can lose some weight here, put some bumper away, a Lexan wing, some nice screws on there, and maybe you also able, like the Forza S-Flux, to be about 4.3 to 4.5 maximum RTR ready 4S weight to go running competition. I take also, like at the buggy here, the S version. Suspension here set up out from the box. The only thing I have done here is I have pushed the springs preload at his maximum, because the springs are a little bit short, so I have not really much compression on the springs. I have needed to do that. I have here a 6S combo in there with a 74 motor, and the battery is already in there. I have here 650 gram battery in there to show you what happens in 6S. And the truck is slightly, for a competition driver, track driver, this is almost ready to high, but for us hobby drivers in all surface terrain, it's just on the limit I like. So I guess I'm gonna take some harder spring for the truck, because you can get some harder springs. I'm gonna go for the harder ones maybe. For sure, if I only use a 4S lightweight battery, 200 gram less, I'm gonna be fine. The S version has still, how I say before, the 6061 chassis and shock tower. The chassis is machined. The shock towers are stamped. This is really something I do not like. This is okay for really cheap RCs, but for the better ones like this one, it's not okay. You have no option now, but you can take the hot body shock towers or the Forza S-Flux shock towers for the front. Take care, the Forza S truggy has short rear shock tower and 4 short shocks. This is why I prefer this one. You have the longer shocks in the rear, and even if, unlike many truggy here, I'm at the maximum ride height, I have not so much suspension travel as I get on many other truggies. For sure, the ones I prefer, the Techno truggies with the humongous suspension travel. You know, I'm a freak from suspension travel. I love suspension travel. That's why I love the Savage XL, I love the X-Max, I love the E-Revo with the Summit Cantilever 120 LT. That's why I love the Trek Summit. I love suspension travel. But this one gonna be for the run on grass. Faster run on grass surface, flat surface with some jumps, but not too much. For go harder, I use my Traxxas sledge here as a muggy. This one I'm gonna use as a truggy. I'm gonna try it with the stock tires. This tires feels really nice. Nice like the Proline tires, Badlands, but it's a little bit between. This old generation tires was ballooning. The new generation tire by Proline or this MFT stuff by Louis Duratrax is no more ballooning, zero ballooning like Jetco. But what I not like at the new tires generation, way too heavy, and zero balloon is not okay for have fun with the truck. Zero balloon is cool for fast driving, but not for jump, not for freestyle. And we have here something just in between. And I really like it. You have 155 millimeter in diameter. It's bigger in diameter than the KK Pit Warrior, or the standard size diameter from competition truggy. Like this one here, the VP Pro. If you are searching for nice hobby tires for truggies, take this one. VP Pro Bulldogs. That's about 200 grams, a little bit heavier than a standard truggy tire. You have a really thick foam in there. You have a nice tire. 6S is no problem for these tires, and you have a really nice traction everywhere. I even use it on harder surface and have no special wear on it. It's the concrete. So I'm gonna try this one, but my goal is to drive it with the VP Pro. And maybe I'm gonna use this one or in the KK Pit Warriors, because they are brighter, at my Muggy the Sledge, which I use for be rough. I'm gonna drive this one hard, but not extreme, and I drive this one for be rough. Many from you don't understand why I like Traxxas. I like Traxxas because I did give them no care when I'm go driving wild. I don't care what happened to my Traxxas when I drive in a gravel pit. I never gonna drive this one in a gravel pit. If I gonna buy a Techno competition truggy or TMSO or something, I drive it gentle on grass or on track. And I drive Traxxas in rougher situation or when my brain is off, because I don't care about it. The body is made from seriously thick Lexan with some reinforcement here in the middle and on the side, and here also, so I don't have any fear to have any problem with the body. This is something I don't like. It's the Armour cars, Corelli cars, Traxxas, HPI. You always have some flimsy body. Traxxas use now some cage to slow down the process from destruction from the car, from the Lexan body. It's a nice idea, but it's a nice idea with weight up. And Hobau also has bad bodies, so I'm anytime happy when I get something in my hand with a nice and tough Lexan body. In there, like all modern competition stuff, truggy or buggies, you have the weight in the front. You have here the battery way in the front, the motor, receiver and servo. Only the SC is a little bit backwards. Transmission is still on one side, so this part from the car really balanced with any problem this side from the car. I already installed the optional upper plate, the optional front brace and the optional rear brace, because I exactly know what's gonna happen when I'm going to jump is that I'm gonna destroy here this plastic part. You have really a thin part here. On the buggy it's not an issue because it's really light, and this one, because of the longer chassis and the more weight, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna destroy this part, so I take the alloy optional parts. I also take the rear one because, like at the Forza Flux or S-Flux, we have one problem. Here we have it less than by the HPI. Why? Because HPI has the differential more in the front. The motor is still at the same place, but on the other side, that means you have a really long rear dog bone and a shorter front one. And this one has exactly the opposite. You have a front long dog bone protected by a long chassis brace, and in the rear you have a shorter one. And as you see here, you have the chassis brace stopping here, and you have only the diff mounted here. That means you have here exactly the flex, and this is what happens here. And with the plastic part I was able to flex already a centimeter and hit with the dog bone the bottom of the drive cups. And the otherwise also, if I going to flex under here, I was able already especially at the Forza, to pop the dog bone out just by flexing it by my hand. I take the front of the chassis, the rear of the chassis in the air, I make this and lose my dog bone. Here, even with the plastic part, it's not possible because it's shorter, you have less flex, but I already put the alloy brace on it, and now we have, it's already much of a flex, but not so much. And especially with the plastic part, I fear one thing is when I land on something here and the chassis go flex underneath, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna destroy the plastic chassis brace underneath here at the screw. What many people do in China or in the Asian side of the world is that they use two shock tower. They double up the front, double up the rear, and put here just here a counter trunk. They take just such a part and bolt it here, like at the hot body 819. just bolt here to avoid these flex for the hobby drivers. A competition driver, don't use that, they don't need it, because this flex is nice. The car handles great. I, for the moment, still haven't drive it, because we have here really bad weather since 1 week. I just was quickly on the road, and it handles really great. What I especially like is how much the steering goes wide. Look at this crazy steering angle. The car is really super effective at slow speed in a heavy corner, and when you hit the throttle, because of the way they mounted here the links, you gonna a little bit understeer at higher speed, so you have a really a car really react nice. You don't gonna oversteer when you hit the throttle in a long curve, and when you are in a small corner at small speed, you are able to turn really fast. I like that. For the moment, I use a 1700 kV motor. We're gonna first run it in 4S, and then in 6. In 4S, it's a little bit of the slower side I like, so about 65 km an hour. And in 6S is going to be just right at maybe 85 km an hour. If you drive on a 4S, I recommend, if you use a sensor ESC, that's something I really like at sensor stuff, is the turbo timing, because you are able with a 4S, especially when you drive on track, when you're on the track, you need 1 or 2 times on the track a really fast speed at the straight line or on a heavy jump. So if you need a bigger pinion to reach this speed you like, you're gonna have a problem in the slower part from the track, because you need a lot of amp because of the big pinion, and the car is not so smooth to drive. But if you drive lower kV and use a turbo timing, you are going to be able to be super smooth at the small corner, the small part from the track, and on the straight line to pop out the end speed you need, because you can put the timing to 20 or 30 degrees to get what you need more end of the track at the straight line. You get with the car stock the 62 pinion. I was first thinking at the French unboxing that it's a little bit too much, because the buggy already also have a 16. You have here a main gear who is the same size as the main gear in the buggy. And this is another difference between these two, because this is light. You have here 43 on 13 tooth pinion gear mesh here in there, straight cut it. It's way enough because it's light. On this one, because it's more heavy, and because also you have the heavier tire, they use spiral cut diffs, and they go down to a 10 main gear. So you have a 10 to 33. So you have a bigger reduction here, front and rear, but you still have the same in the center. I guess they have rated this with standard truggy tire for hot bodies for the Forza. That means with a 2000 kV motor, with the stock 16 tooth pinion gear, the buggy and the truggy has the same top speed. With the bigger tire here, you're gonna have a little bit more top speed with this one. It's not much, maybe just a little bit. But take care, this one 3.5 kilograms, this one 4.5 or 3.7 and 4.7. That means you need more amps. Even if you drive as fast as the truggy, the motor is gonna run higher in temperature, and you're gonna need more capacity on your battery to have the same runtime between tools. So I personally prefer to go for a 6S setup, lower the kV, because I like it this way. Just that. I think for tools we're gonna buy the RTR version with the 4S combo. It's a Harbin motor and a Harbin 100 amp ESC 4S with the stock 62 pinion. You're gonna be just right. Just take care, how I say, on the temp. I use alloy, how I say, radiator and standard fan, because the summer is coming here. I also put this fan at the buggy because of the same reason. On the buggy you have less air coming in there as at the truggy, but still take care. I use here a 45 kilogram servo, 25 gonna be way enough. This ESC only gonna give me 6 volts, so the servo is not the fastest, but with so fat tires and knobs, it's not always bad to have not a too much fast servo. The rest gonna be tested on the track. On the track, I mean on my grass surface I like to drive. I'm gonna take with me for sure my ramps to make some nice long jumps, not especially high. For sure, I know in 4S not, but in 6S it's pretty sure I'm gonna pop some back flips or front flips. And we're gonna really take a look at what happens to the center dog bones. The front, I would say, gonna be no problem, but I guess in some case the rear one maybe gonna push to the limits in front, and especially by the back flips landing. We're gonna see that. You notice also I have some wire in the truck because I put the front lights in there and put some rear lights on because I like it. I also have done it here on my buggy. Here I use some 3D painted 3D, not painted, printed stuff. I have a front light, I have a rear light. I also gonna do something at my sledge and my not on the monster trucks, because I drive many times to rough my monster trucks, so the LED lights never live really long on my monster trucks. So I guess I forget nothing. Yes, I forget something. Remember, the standard version has the plastic arm holder. I think that's a bad idea with some long arms and so heavy tires. That's also why I take the US version, because I have the alloy plate here to hold the arms. That's also something funny between the buggy and the truggy. You have here a gold colored chassis with black pin holder. At the buggy you have exactly the opposite. You have a black chassis, 7075 T6, and you have some golden colored 7075 T6 arm holder. This version has the alloy shocks, the standard version the plastic shocks. On the buggy the plastic shocks will be enough, like it was enough at the HPI Apache. The HPI Apache also has the plastic shocks. Works fine, don't need especially anymore. But on a truggy, because of the same reason I choose to have the alloy pin holder here, is that there are going to be too much stress at the shocks when I roll over here, so I prefer to get the alloy one. I know I'm going to pop out here. What's cool with this Ming stuff is if you have an Apache or the King Motor rally car and so stuff, you can buy all Ming parts and repair or put some option at your HPI Apache cars. All that stuff also can be used at the Forza buggy and truggy. Just take care to take the right parts from the right Ming model to go on your Forza stuff or hot body stuff. Otherwise also, I say here I'm gonna maybe change the shock tower with the hot body parts, or I'm gonna make make my pal who does the carbon parts the shock tower in carbon, and also make here some braces with the carbon part to have no flex. What I like especially on these cars is the price. The Artr version from the Truggy 4S cost about 500 euros here. The buggy 6S Artr S version is available for 480 euros. That is about 70 to 100 euros less than all our cars. I also miss by Arma the Italian normal version. They only do the EXB RTR version now for 750 euros. And I think at Italian it's not useful to have all this EXB stuff. The stock V5 or V4 Italian was way enough okay for do what we do here with this kind of stuff. Corrali has the Shogun, but at the Shogun I have a problem, the same problem with all Corrali cars is the plastic. The plastic from the Corrali cars on 1/8 scale are too weak. I'm not happy with. I break really too much time some parts at my Corrali cars. A-arms. I even managed many times, and also other people, to rip off the whole bulkhead from the chassis because the plastic is too weak and you rip it out from the chassis. It's something we are not used to have on many other truggy. We have it's not happened especially in Arma, at Hobao, it's no competition car it happens. So this is something I miss by Corrali. This better plastic must be done. The Suga is tougher because they put more from this plastic, but more is not absolutely better than better plastics. I love Ming because I know Ming since a long time. I know since a long time that Ming was doing the HPI stuff. Even in France we have a brand named T2M, and T2M buggies, the old competition buggy from T2M was already a French master, was the old Ming. So that's pretty cool stuff. You have to know also that the next step from this buggy, this is a model X model V1, the X model V2 from this one, who has just a slightly bit, maybe they done a little difference in the rear here, is already Chinese master, world master. So, and this happens this year. I also know that Ming make all the hot body stuff. And I was saying before, what's cool is that all the Ming stuff is way lower in price. For an example, a pair of hubs costs only 7 or 8 euros. The same hubs, hot body version or HPI version, cost twice the price, 15 euros here in France. And I think this is crazy. Optional part, you also can get the C-hubs and the knuckles made from alloy, the same part sets from the HPI and for the hot body stuff. But I will say here also for much lower price, about 20 to 30 euro lower in price, the alloy part as the other versions. Something other I forgot to show you is the bumper. Look at this crazy thick bumper. This bumper is heavier done as what some brands does on monster trucks. I hope this is not going to be too much, because if it's too tough we're going to bend the chassis in the front by hitting the floor. If you have already experience with Ming, feel free to comment underneath, guys. And if you have experience with the old HPI trophy, Flux, not Flux, also Nitro. The trophy from HPI, buggies and truggies, was the old version from this one, made also by Ming. So I want to know everything about the car you get from HPI or hot bodies or Ming in the past. And I was saying, I'm gonna push them to get the chassis part and the shock tower made as same option as for the S version buggy. Have a nice day, guys. Evening. Normally here I send this video out on a Sunday evening at 10 p.m. That means in the US, no, it's not evening. 10 in the afternoon is maybe about between 11 and 13 o'clock, depending on which part of USA you are. If you are in England, it's evening. Stay tuned, guys.